One thing I don't think is talked about enough or thought about enough is who is the beef checkoff's customer. Your customer is who pays you and who your income comes from. And the beef checkoff's customer is you, the cattle producer, who pays them. I think of the beef checkoff sometimes as like a marketing firm, and you are supposed to pay them, and they're supposed to create a demand in beef, and that is supposed to come back in returns for higher cattle prices. That's the way it's supposed to work. And you're supposed to trust them. How do they do it? How do they try to gain your trust? 70% of consumers say BQA boosts their trust in beef. I found this ad in Working Ranch Magazine's Facebook page. And this might be the stupidest ad I've ever seen. I've worked around cattle all my life, pretty much. And until I started Lonesome Lands, which was 6 years ago, I don't think I could really explain to you what BQA was. I could maybe tell you what it stood for, but I couldn't really explain the program. And I would guess that probably 99.9% of beef consumers have absolutely no idea what BQA is. And so what this really is just a bold-faced lie. And this is how they try to gain your trust. This is part of funding that you pay for. You're paying for this ad. $1.8 million is being spent of checkoff dollars is being spent this year on producer communication. And that comes out in ads like this. And when I think of that marketing firm analogy of you're the customer and the checkoff is your marketing firm, I think of maybe like a big company like Coca-Cola, and they're sitting down with their marketing firm, and their marketing firm says, we need $2 million to make ads that we're going to show you how good of a job we're doing. I don't think it really works that way. I've never been a part of these big companies, but I kind of doubt that happens. So what is this ad really trying to tell you? And the most famous advertising guy I know of is a guy by the name of Don Draper. And he's actually a character in a TV show called Mad Men. And it's about a Madison Avenue advertising agency. And in the very first episode, he describes advertising. He says, advertising is based on one thing: happiness. And you know what happiness is? Happiness is the smell of a new car. It's freedom from fear. It's a billboard on the side of the road that screams with reassurance that whatever you're doing is okay. You are okay. Now, hopefully what I just said to you sounded like complete BS. Because if you watch Mad Men, you might remember that Don Draper knew that what he was saying was complete BS. To understand this definition of advertising, you have to know who he was talking to. And he was talking to the owners of Lucky Strike cigarettes. And the year was 1960, and it had just become illegal for cigarette manufacturers to make health claims about their cigarettes being good for you. There was now undeniable proof that cigarettes were causing cancer. And so Don Draper was describing what advertising needed to be for them. For them, it needed to scream with reassurance that whatever you're doing is okay. And so when you are looking down at your sale barn receipt and you see those dollars coming out of your checks, this ad is screaming with reassurance that what you are doing is okay, that you are okay. This ad and many others like them. You've all seen the ads throughout for the beef checkoff. I did a video a while back that had 1.4 million views. I sat down in the back of my horse trailer, and the next thing I knew, there was 1 million people who'd seen what I was doing. But I showed a magazine, Drover's Magazine, and if you're familiar with that, they have about 10 pages per magazine. And in that magazine, they had 3 different beef checkoff ads. And those are screaming to you that you are okay. But you're not okay. The last time I was up here, I went to Rapid City and I talked about the lie that has been agreed upon that cattle are bad for the environment. And when I got home, I put it on YouTube. And somebody took it and clipped it up and they put it on TikTok. So I became a TikToker. And I didn't even have to dance. But my 14-year-old daughter saw it, and she said, we were driving in the pickup, and she says, they taught me, they taught in my class that beef is bad for the environment. Cattle are bad for the environment. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And I thought, I live in a rural Iowa community where junior high students are now being taught that beef is bad for the environment. And I thought, if she is being taught that cattle and beef are being bad for the environment, then I guarantee you the vast majority of junior high students in this country are being taught that beef and cattle are bad for the environment, and that eating less beef is good for the environment. Right now in New York City, they pulled meat off the menu. In New York City public schools, they pulled meat off the menu for at least 2 days a week. And the New York City mayor has come out and he's trying to implement a plan that reduces the amount of meat consumption for the entire city to save the environment. And these are all lies that are told about the cattle industry. And so what is your beef checkoff dollars doing to prevent these lies from coming true or from being told? And all of these kids, my daughter heard about this. She heard that cattle were bad for the environment, and she never even said anything to me. Like, we live around cattle. My business is based on cattle. She shows show cattle, but she's a 14-year-old kid. And when they hear something, they just kind of go with it. And 14-year-old kids all across this country are hearing that, and they're going with it. And so what is the Beef Checkoff main focus? One of their main focuses, NASCAR. They sponsored the Daytona 300 this past year. And if that seems a little silly to you, I don't know how many NASCAR fans are trying to cut beef out of their diet, but I think it's probably less than what's going on in New York City. And I haven't seen a real beef checkoff plan for what's going on in New York City. And that is because we don't have a marketing firm to promote beef. And as I was driving out here, I had this all written up, and I was driving out here and I was coming down the big hill by Chamberlain, and I look over and there's a billboard, and it says, "Beef, it's what's for dinner." And there's a big checkoff logo under it. And I thought, I wonder how many billboards like that are in New York City or California, or being shown to these junior high kids at school who are having meat taken out of their menu. I wondered, why would the Beef Checkoff put a billboard in the middle of cow country in a community that's supported by cattle? Why would they do that? It was almost as if that billboard was screaming with reassurance that what you are doing is okay, that the Beef Checkoff is okay. It's not okay. You have the opportunity to take your checkoff back, and I hope you take it.